Okay, hold on. It should be working now. You know what I'm saying? Damn, that's dumb. I forgot with this phone that it has messed up audio. But for the most part, you know what I'm saying, the little intro song, stuff like that. Oh well, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna keep it moving. But for the most part, what's up, what's up, what's up? It's your boy Dave B. Watching Dave B on TV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. And today we break it down some astrology. We got the moon in Leo and the sun in Scorpio. Now, Leo moon, you know what I'm saying, we about 22 degrees in, and that's about to transition into the moon in Virgo by the time we wake up and get things popping for the next day. But it's still important, you know what I'm saying, good information to know before you go to bed, you know, what to have your mind on and kind of reflecting over the last 2 days that you've been experiencing the sun in Scorpio, moon and Leo. So what that creates is what I put into the title. It's a certain relationship with how we see things, how we're acting in the world, trying to move and make observations in the world, but also express ourselves, but also that is on the sun end. So the way we're doing that is in the Scorpio type energy, which is trying to transform things, you know what I'm saying? Trying to use our passion, trying to get more in tune with our deep intuition and things like that. And I was speaking about how Scorpio season, one of the biggest things that we have to look out for is it our intuition and we're connected to ourselves, or is it fear? Because a lot of Scorpio's energy can make you, I want to use the word paranoid, but it's not always paranoia, but there's this sometimes based upon what you cannot let go of emotionally, you develop very heavy emotional biases that alter the way you see the world. And instead of doing things in correlation to have all kinds of issues today, instead of seeing things in correlation to how they really are, and you're using that emotional bias, and that becomes a crutch. In a lot of ways, that crutch can keep you or prevent you from really growing as an individual. You know what I'm saying? It can keep you from actually looking at the world in a clear space from what you're, you know, being. It's like you gotta look at it like this, right? It adds a different layer over your vision. So what you might be able to see clearly, it might have a hard time seeing things clearly when you have certain emotional biases, things that you're not able to let go of emotionally, grudges and things like that. You know what I'm saying? They create other problems in other areas of your life. And then before you know it, you know what I'm saying, you're kind of running into that same issue. Let me fix this shit. All kinds of technical problems today. Hold on. All kinds of technical issues. So, that, and I bring this down, that should is sorry, y'all. Hold on. I should have got this right before I went live. Mm. What's up? What's up, Sebastian? So for the most part, getting back into what I'm breaking down today. So yeah, so the sun, that's what we're dealing with this whole month, you know, is that Scorpio energy of kind of trying to look at things, get deeper, but are we getting deeper with ourselves, or are we trying to avoid things? Okay, shout out to you, you know what I'm saying? Because happy star day then. You know what I'm saying? You a Scorpio, so this energy probably resonates with you on some level. So how you're expressing yourself and the way you do things, a lot of times you're always kind of looking for what the deeper meaning of things is. It's kind of like looking at the ulterior motives, which can make you highly intelligent, but at the same time, that passion or that obsessiveness can take you over the edge. And sometimes you can make assumptions based upon what I was just talking about, emotional bias. You know what I'm saying? You say you don't believe in zodiac signs. That's cool and all. Honestly, when we look at how we talk about astrology on this channel is as a tool. You know what I'm saying? You might not believe it, but chances are you play out certain energies every day unconsciously, you know what I'm saying, without even knowing, or subconsciously, I should say. But that doesn't mean that to know astrology means you're going to be any better at living life. I mean, it just gives you awareness of what energy influences might be hitting you and different things that, you know what I'm saying, might be um occurring in the outside world. Now, when we talk about the moon being in Leo, this is expression. This is you trying to express yourself, wanting to be seen, recognized for certain things, and a lot of times on the Leo in, you know what I'm saying, Leo's relationship with Scorpio, this is where conflict ensues, you know what I'm saying? Because how Scorpio likes to do things behind closed doors, not being seen. And it's not that Scorpios don't want that same recognition or to be noticed, but at the same time, it's like, it's almost like they look at the spotlight differently. They want to navigate it in a way that doesn't hinder their ulterior motives, their actual intentions and what they want to get done. And sometimes, you know, when they get attention, it's either they don't know how to handle it or they don't know how to respond to it. And so that creates that kind of dynamic where Scorpios can get into a space where they don't know what to express versus what to keep to themselves. And after a while, what you realize is anything you keep to yourself and you keeping too many things to yourself, this cause internal conflict. And that's what majority of Scorpio energy deals with. It's like internal conflict, having to deal with, okay, do I allow this thing to transform me? Or am I going to let this go and transform the world around me? You know, it's kind of like, you know, you get a lot of Scorpios who will put on a smiling face just for the sake of not trying to, you know, they know how intense they are. So sometimes they might try to come across like, oh, no, nothing, you know, nothing's heavy on them. But a lot of times you could feel the aura, you could feel the energy, like something is heavier or there's something that they're not necessarily expressing that I can sense, but can't quite put a face or a name or a color to. So you're left there kind of like confused until it come all rushing out. It's like eventually all of that that you keep inside has to come out some way or another, right? Just like how it is in real life, how the physical body does. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to this combination of energy, this is like that. Okay, do I express this or not, or do I keep this to myself? And then the moon being in Leo too, it's an internal fire, you know what I'm saying, an internal thing that we're trying to get out, but we don't quite know what the ramifications of expressing ourselves are. So this is where why I put in the title, this is either purification of character, or this is the I forgot the other word I used, but basically when we look at the purification of character, this is going to be more on the positive end, a higher octave of this energy combination, where you get to a point where you allow your true self, because this whole year has been about that, like this kind of back and forth with our true self in this new world and trying to come to grips with, okay, if this is who we are and this is what is changing around us, how are we going to manage and maneuver in this new time in a way that's effective but also allows me to still, you know, be me. But, you know, everybody's kind of grappling with, okay, this is me, but this is a new world. Everybody's trying to balance out what, you know, that comfort zone, having to leave that comfort zone, you know, and then let me express myself in a new way that makes sense with the times in order for me to keep up with the different things that we're forced to pay attention to in society. And that looks like your bills, responsibilities, even your, you know, career to a degree. And when I say career, I just mean anything of importance in the world that you can see and make a status out of. So a lot of things like, you know, that's part of life too, is looking at what you can do in order to create status. And it doesn't have to be the biggest thing in the world, but just like, you know, how everybody has to somewhat choose a, I don't want to reduce it to a career path, but you know, there's always going to be something, like for instance, even people who they might not necessarily care about money, but they care about helping the world in some way. So they want to be some form of a, you know, whether it's an entrepreneur or they want to be some kind of community person or they just want to help their neighbor and stuff like that. People have aspirations in which they want to build a status around, and it might not be centered around money, but it could be centered around how they want to interact with the world and what they want to do. Hey, shout out to Mooney Mercury, baby. I appreciate you, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when it comes to these different things, you know, finding your place in the world, that's a very, you know, very personal process. And that ties in with purpose and trying to, you know, do something to make yourself, again, feel it. It's not so much about validation. It can be because the majority of the world is only operating on things like validation and getting seen and recognized and getting paid for certain things. But it goes way deeper than just validation. Like when you really reach higher levels of just being a, you know, when you really realize what's going on in the world and you understand different things, you stop getting so attached and to validation, and you look more so beyond it and be like, oh, what is my actual purpose? Like if when I'm dead and gone, what impact did I make on the world? And like I said before, not everybody is necessarily trying to be LeBron James and trying to be these figures and stuff like that, celebrities and stuff. That's more so, that's like if we're talking about levels of development as far as your spiritual awareness, that's very low level to want to be some kind of celebrity and want to just be seen and have the money and the lifestyle. But when you realize the influence these people have and the potential impact they could have on the lives of other people, and you start getting in more into that, that's where you're starting to develop a sense of purpose and a sense of direction in the world and be like, okay, bet this is actually me trying to change the world and be a positive influence. And again, some people want to be negative influences and stuff like that, but a lot of that is more so rooted in the pain, trauma that they haven't resolved and dealt with in their own life. People, when they say hurt people, a lot of that, what it comes from is people's obsession or and I say addiction, but it's not so much a negative thing, but people are everybody is on some level in search of safety and what is it, safety and connection, right? Safety to be safe in your own skin, because you look at what's going on in the world, everybody has some form of a high anxieties, everybody has some kind of mental illness that stems from trauma, being abused. So a lot of people walk around feeling extremely unsafe. And so when people feel unsafe, this is what triggers your survival mode tactics. This is what makes you want to stab somebody in the back, because you figure, oh, if I do this first, I won't get it done to me. So you get a certain mentality going around. And that's the common humans mentality is, I gotta, dog eat dog world. I gotta stab you before you stab me. I gotta get this bread so I don't go broke and my family don't go through more turmoil. And I came from this and this, nobody ever helped me with this. So people walk around with all these chips on their shoulder to the point where that's all they can see is their survival mode, and they're constantly checking their levels of, am I safe, am I safe? And the answer is repeatedly no. Especially look around in the world today, there's damn near nothing really safe to do. Like, ain't shit safe about this world, for real, except for, I mean, the babies ain't even safe. You know what I'm saying? And that's the most fucked up thing, is that you can't even raise a child. A child can't even be raised in a way that they're protected. You know what I'm saying? You got babies on tablets, and the very same thing on that tablet be the first thing that got every human in some kind of, or every adult in some kind of rabbit hole. Again, we can go as extreme to the most pettiest of things that individuals get wrapped up in when it comes to being online and just being out in this world and shit like that. But getting back to the point, or centering things back in, uh, this is what is happening. So safety is the number one thing people are feeding for, and then the next thing, and these are not, one is not more important than the other. These are right on the same level. The other part is connection. Everybody's desperate for connection, even the people who express themselves as if they're rejecting it. It's an people are, they want to be connected, as much as you might want to disregard relationships. And again, when I say relationships, I'm not just talking romantic, but everybody is in some form, shape, form, or fashion in search of some kind of connection. And that's the root of all addictions, all things in which get people in trouble, the things that make people rob, shoot, steal, kill. You know what I'm saying? It's about safety. Am I safe, and am I connected? Who am I connected to, or what am I connected to? And so these things, I feel like in Scorpio season, we see a big influx of these energies as far as the concentration, because the thing, the fact of the matter is, when we hit the fall time, this is where a lot of the other stuff shed away. When you're out in the springtime hit, it's like it's all birth and newness. So it's about getting up and, hey, suck it up. Get out there, do something in the world, be seen. The weather is good. Externally, there's so many things to get distracted and influenced by. But then the summer comes, and then it's an increased energy of that. And it's like, okay, yeah, fun in the sun. I'm out with my people, boom, boom, boom. It's like when you out at the function, right? Nothing's really wrong. You having the time of your life. But when that function ends, 2 a.m. hits and the club closed, and you got to go home, and that walk home, that lonely walk home with just you, yourself, and your own thoughts, that's where we're at right now in the fall time, where it gets dark and you're on that journey home, and it's the dark night in the soul, and you sitting there observing all the things you might be unfulfilled with, and it stresses you out a little bit, it worries you. We just left Libra season. Libra is all about relationships. See, in Libra, you start to see the truth of how things are truly weighed out and distributed. You start to get to the facts, and you start to be like, hold on, am I actually secure in this area? Hold on, am I actually, what if I don't have this? I don't have enough of this. Where am I going to get my fulfillment of this? This is all things dealing with Libra, the balance of things. You looking at your own life like, damn, my shit unbalanced. because as individuals we all have blind spots, and we all have sides of ourselves that, again, we as spirits are always trying to fulfill things. But you can only, you can only, the best thing you could be is the best version of yourself, right? But even with that, there comes things that you will never be good at. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has what their strengths and then their weaknesses. And we work tirelessly to try to curb our weaknesses, but our weaknesses are still our weaknesses. And it takes a great deal amount of growth and change. But even with the most growth and the most change, you still gonna always have, there's always gonna be something you don't quite have awareness on. And that's the importance of relationship. And that should have been what we learned in Libra season. Now coming into Scorpio season, this is where it gets realer. This is where we start to look at investments. That's what eighth house and Scorpio energy is all about. What can you invest in? Trust, things like that. And those are terms that used at the bank. Trust, investment, um, the bonds and things like that, what you're bonded to, and all these different aspects of yourself. So it comes down to you being like, okay, you know, again, safety and connection, right? We're in a water sign, so the connection needs to be secure. The connection needs to be deep, but it's almost like you're questioning those things that was comfortable back with Libra season. Now you're questioning them of how deep can this actually go? How balanced or is the person I'm in partnership with, or the person, place, or thing I'm in partnership with or relating to? How deep is it, and are there ulterior motives? What did that contract actually say? What was that fine print about? Like, I seen some fine print at the time. I was having a good time, so I didn't check it. But what did that fine print say? And that's kind of what might be going on subconsciously as a collective energy on top of wherever the moon is at. So the moon kind of sheds different lights on aspects of this mentality, right? Going through Scorpio, going through, and see, all of this is pushing you to transform yourself. So on one level, on a very surface level, yeah, it can be about the outside world and your way of managing it, but also on an internal level, it's about you trusting yourself and you being able to maneuver these different things, but take the plunge into transformation by letting go of what might be an emotional bias still holding you down, holding you hostage to a certain perception of the world. And again, too much being held down about emotional biases and ways of old ways of seeing the world, being held down too much about that, those things, those diminish your truth, those diminish your real voice, those start to become, it's almost like the echoes become louder than the actual voice itself. And so you find yourself not really, again, this is opposite to where you would consider the throat chakra, right? This is now getting into the root chakra, the reproduction organs, to the point where, okay, you can see the dichotomy, right? You could be speaking your truth and going through that purification process, or you could be doing the opposite. You could be getting dragged down by what it is that you're trying to, basically, might be trying to hide. You might not want to come to grips with with the things that are um, needing your attention. You might be trying to, on some level, suppress or keep things down. So this is what turns into the other part of the title I put, where it's the purification of character, that's the positive end, or the corruption of character, where now, because of the fear, because of the pain, because of the things that you can't let go of, you start to alter your mental state to be the type to, again, survival mode. I have to get safe, and I have to get my what is it, safety, and I have to be connected. And when you can't have no connection on a genuine tip, if you don't feel like you can be vulnerable, then the next best thing to get connection is going to be forms of mischief, forms of, how they say, like a child. What does a child do when they're not getting attention? They turn it up a notch. They try to get destructive. They try to do any and everything to get the attention, and the what they're feeding for is the connection of their parents. So they're gonna try to do the things that they know get the parent pissed off. Because even though what they wanted was connection, if they can't get the connection through general means of just talking and doing, good things, then they're gonna turn to the bad things if they only get attention during the bad things. So again, a lot of people grew up and see our parents. A lot of them, whether they knew better or not, a lot of them was going through different things based upon reasons, and we can go on a whole list of reasons why parents treated, kids the way they did growing up and stuff like that, right? So but at some point it's like even everybody got to really, you really got to start to forgive. I don't want to use the word forgive, but you have to get over it, you know what I'm saying, on some level, whether that looks like forgiveness for you, or that looks like you separating, or that looks like you having that conversation and just sitting down with them and addressing these things. But some way, form, or fashion, everybody got to get over that, because even that in and of itself is just another excuse for you to add on to kind of the blinders, you know what I'm saying, you to put an extra layer over your eyes to keep you from being who you need to be. You know, everything you're not forgiving your parents for when they were raising you, because they didn't know what they was doing. They was just trying different things out, and they was under pressure. They was going through different shit, that the same shit you going through as a young adult, right? Let's say, you know, for those who got kids, and who or for those who is, you know, I'd say older than y'all know, with honestly older than, shit, nowadays, I want to say older than 18. You know what I'm saying? Life start hitting you different. It's a lot different though from 18 to 25. You know, me personally, I'm 29. So it's like, you know, all these different ages, I'm looking back on like, damn, you know, life started kicking up around certain times. And then now I'm in my Saturn return. And it's like, again, at some point you gotta start to understand, like, whatever level of awareness your parents had, unfortunately, that's what the limit was, and that's all they really could do. Whether there's, you know, whatever unresolved thing you got with that, that's more of a personal thing that you got to address with them. But even the best parents had blind spots, and that goes back to my initial point about, we can work tirelessly to be the best version. The only thing we could ever be is the best version of ourselves. But what prevents that is the subconscious issues, the things that we're not addressing, the things that we're holding on to, grudges, emotional biases that alter our perception and make it more difficult to connect to who we really are. And connecting to who you are looks like getting into them vulnerabilities, because it's only through vulnerabilities that real connection can be established. And if we can't get that real connection, we'll really never really get to that safety. You know, but that safety also is a self practice. That's a self soothing, knowing how to self regulate, knowing how to go through the motions of, okay, yeah, I might be receiving a great deal of thoughts and feelings, but I need to slow down things to be able to decipher what's what, so that I'm not reacting, I'm responding to the world around me. When you react to the world around you, the world controls you. When you respond, you are in control of your world. And that's the only world you're really supposed to be in control of, your world. You can't make somebody feel some kind of way. No matter how, and nobody can make you feel no kind of way. You accept these things, you allow these things, and of course, certain things gonna piss you off, certain things gonna make you happy, make you smile. But at the end of the day, you know, you really got to get in tune with how these things are affecting you, and how much of a defense mechanism you putting in. You know what I'm saying? He said literally just made a whole video on that. Yeah, shout out to you, man. Y'all make sure y'all sub and check out Mooney Mercury Baby, man. He be kicking some good psychology too. And that's where we at right now, bro. We need all of that. Like, these are the things that, you know, nowadays is more important than anything, bro. And like, I'm, you know, I say more important than anything. What I mean is, majority of the world right now is, it's an overdose on entertainment and things that are trying to get uh basically trying to numb and overstimulate pleasure receptors in people. And the problem with that is, everybody is so obsessed with trying to feel good that nobody is actually going through the process of growth. Nobody's actually standing up for nothing substantial and nothing of worth. People are just succumbing to their impulses. And the more and more y'all do that, y'all realize they catching up that technology to suit, like, basically, as much as y'all give into y'all impulses, they upgrading the technology to basically be hand in hand. You know how they say technology, what it provides is convenience, right? So when they're matching, so all the technological advances, your impulse control is the only thing that's really keeping you uh basically self-sufficient. If everyone in the world is giving into their impulses, and they have the technology to feed that convenience, like, all those visions that we see of the future, with people being like in that Wally movie, the Disney movie, with the, it was like that little robot, and he went into space and shit, and it was like the humans in the future, they was all fat as hell, sliding in the in them big ass chairs, and, like, you know, with their feet up. But then I think I don't know what the thing was, I think I don't know if they was getting fed to something or they was getting their life destroyed on some shit, but whatever it was, like if you think about that, like we have to be mindful of, and honestly, I'm tired of even talking about it as far as being mindful because it's like kind of like fuck that, like y'all y'all in for some shit. All I'm gonna say, because when you really look at the way where things are going and the way people are reacting to it, it's like people still voting, man. People still voting. I thought maybe just maybe this year y'all would look at this shit and be like, yeah, we shouldn't continue this system. We should keep this going. But I see y'all actually most people, right? Not y'all, because I don't know. Majority of my people who be on my channel don't seem like they be into or maybe have some idea of this. But when I go live, I know I get random people. But it's just like y'all really signing yourselves up for a life that that y'all don't really even understand the ramifications of. Y'all don't understand the consequences of y'all current actions. And so it tells me that much about, where y'all are actually headed in life. And, part of me just looks at it like, damn, it's unfortunate. But again, I'm gonna do my part to at least bring awareness to certain things. But to get back to the point, um, like I was saying about how impulse control is one of you got to think about impulse control right now. Technological advances making it very convenient to get all those impulses that you can't control soothed. So what happens is a technological dependence that's going to start to develop over the next. It's already there. You know how they say little small things. They used to say things to me when I was coming up about like, oh, you don't know how to read a map. You just know how to use a GPS. And again, as a kid, I'm like, talking shit back. I'm like, yeah, fuck you, yeah, I'm gonna put it in the navigation. What you talk about? But when you really understand that, like it goes further. Nowadays, it's almost like when you think about AI, right? And I'm just gonna leave this as a concept, right? AI, this is thinking, getting something to think for you. So you're gonna get a bunch of people who already can't think critically, who are gonna get even lazier when it comes to thinking because it's gonna be convenient, like to just type in a prompt and then type in how you want the prompt to come out, how you want the answer to come out, hit enter on a computer, and it's going to spit out information that people is going to start to become a lost art for people to even think critically because they're just going to assume whatever is given to them through AI, through all these different chatbots. They're going to assume that that information is correct. So y'all get what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He said, then that's deep. I can see that. No more shadow work will be done. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because people are not going to be even needing to look inside themselves because everything is going to be externalized based upon virtual reality, augmented reality. Everything is going to be a matter of getting online. So people are going to be obsessed with downloading themselves onto certain platforms. Even right now, people don't think critically when they even post online. People be on Twitter all day just saying whatever, man, giving whatever kind of advice, giving whatever kind of, and like that goes back to what I was saying about the difference between a channel like mine and Moody's and Saint Uno and people who are putting out real information versus people who are putting out entertainment and things that are only soothing the impulse. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I saw that, bro. I was like, I don't blame you, bro. I started switching up how I used Twitter too. I was like, man, yeah. It's dead for this. That's why again, it ain't social media, bro. It's like it's commercial media. It's like if you're not selling nothing on them platforms, you might as well be off. You know what I'm saying? You might as well be off because everything else other than you trying to push a brand in your what your ideology is or whatever that is, and that even when I say ideology and brand and trying to teach on these platforms, even that is you got to think about even in real life how money influences education. You know what I'm saying? The things that they sanction you to be taught, the things that they push for curriculum on, don't even be shit that's actually useful. The same thing can be reflected through these commercial media platforms. Where at one point, yeah, if you was teaching back in 2016 and shit like that, your videos had just as much chance as having influence in the world or being impactful as uh in fact it was probably more if you had a how-to video and you was teaching people how to use things that would pop. But nowadays it's like again in the times of commercial media, it's like people are really looking at numbers, and they're looking at what's popular, and people want to hear what makes them feel good, because like I said before, people are wired to be addicted, or to, I don't say, I don't want to use addicted because that's a natural thing, but it's like people are wired to chase and to seek desperately, which makes it unhealthy, safety and connection, because they feel unfulfilled in that area. Everybody does. Everybody feels like they are unsafe, and everybody feels like they're not connected. So they search desperately. That's why they on these sites for so long, because the appeal of social media when it first came out was, I can talk to anybody and like, people wasn't even thinking about talking to any and everybody. They was thinking about talking to their friends. They followed their friends, they talked to their friends, they shared posts with their friends. MySpace was, come to my page, I'm gonna deck my page out. There's gonna be a hangout spot online for me and my friends. I'm gonna put my top songs on the side, and it was all about trying to get connection. But again, it started to take it to the next level, and nowadays, by the time there was ads on Facebook, by the time it became a thing to go viral and get paid online, that's when it started to switch to where what made you cool and fun and posting, like, oh, I'm gonna post my food and quick lunch, and what Instagram used to be of people just sharing normal pictures became, oh, I need to have an aesthetic, I need to have a niche, I need to talk about this, and anybody who not agreeing with me, fuck them, I'm gonna, delete them, block them. And people, I think I heard, I don't know whose video I seen talking about this, but people are creating their own false reality to basically get lost in on these platforms. And that's what it is. And that's, you got to think about how inflated egos become when all they know is the version of them that they post online. And it's like, you got a bunch of people walking around like that. And for the young people who are coming up, that is what they think is the normal thing to do, and this is not me getting on young people, but and when I say young people, because I'm young, I just mean younger generations who were born into the current state of things already put out. Because one thing I never do is talk negatively to younger generations, because we need y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, we really need each other, right? The old heads need the young niggas. The young niggas, they need the old heads for different reasons. You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole different kind of conversation. But like I said before, it's like, with if you're younger watching this, Gen Z and below, right? I would advise you just to understand that the way what you're like, really observe what you're doing when you're getting on these platforms, and examine what you think is normal for these different things. Because like I said before, what they think is normal is getting online and creating this ideal lifestyle, and for that to be what they promote. And they think that, okay, if I create this world and design it how I want to, I can, wherever your mind takes you after that is kind of based upon your personal ideology, your personal, what you've been through and what you want out of life. I just advise young people to know who get to know who you are. Because to know who you are, you might not, chances are you don't, right? That frontal lobe ain't even developed. So all I can say really is, first, before you get heavily invested into external things that make it cool, make you feel powerful because you're being seen and perceived, consider who you are. And when you know who you are, that gives you a strong enough base to be able to go through the different trials and tribulations that happen when you start to project yourself into the world, because automatically you're going to get hit with resistance. And I feel like people are jumping into the world without developing a sense of self, and so the first inkling of resistance alters who they are. And it's almost, it takes you on a alternate route to your path. It throws you off a little bit, whether it is you get discouraged or you get hooked on being gratified or validated in a certain space that you don't expand nothing else in your life. A lot of people start getting validated on one thing, and then they go hyperdrive on that because of the thirst of validation, a powerful drug. Validation, honestly, one of the most powerful drugs. Validation be the reason why people get hooked on drugs. Lack of validation, and trying to, saying, even when they look at things like peer pressure, it all comes, a lot of it comes from validation, and people seek validation because they want connection, they want closeness, and they want to feel safe. Nothing feels more safe than someone clapping for you, than somebody giving you the thumbs up and saying, "Yep, you got it." Because all humans, spirits and human bodies are plagued with the weight and burden of the unknown. And again, that drives an individual crazy, especially when you forget that you're a spirit in a body and that the body is reacting. The body is what reacts to the unknown. The body is what contains the nervous system and contains the mind that starts to override and overreact to stimuli. You know what I'm saying? The body, and then the first thing you want to do is soothe that, which ain't wrong, but gets out of hand, starts to become overindulgent, and before you know it, you're hooked into something that again further disconnects you from your spirit, because your spirit is operating all these different things. But imagine if your spiritual system, or imagine if when your computer catch a virus and the mouse start moving but without your control. That's what happens when you get too consumed with the body and you lose control. You know what I'm saying? When you, it's like any addiction or any mental issue that starts to stem, that you're in constant, let me soothe the body, let me soothe the body. That's like the equivalent of having a computer virus. And now you can't be the person on the computer to using it for what you want to use it for. The computer is overriding. You know, if you ever had a computer with a virus, y'all know what I'm talking about. You can't even click on what you're trying to click on, because every time you go to click, it click on something else. That's what happens when the body is not knowing how to regulate, when people are lost in the body. And being lost in the body, it happens so common, it's so easy to happen, because the spirit is, it's like the body is what you think you are. A lot of people think they are the body. So when the body is nervous, when the body is uncomfortable, when the body is mad, emotions, thoughts, feelings, you get so consumed by these things, you have no control. You have no real authority over what's going on. And so, that goes into its own thing. You feel me? But it's relevant to the current energies we in, because when I talk about impulse control, that's Scorpio's main thing. Impulse, and because it's a water sign, but it's fixed water, right? So it's like it's ruled by Pluto. Pluto is power and control. But when we really look into what power and control is, what is that? What is that process? What is that back and forth thing? You start to understand, oh, that whole system is part of, you know, it's a part of knowing how to, well, I'll say it like this. In today's time, you got to practice that. You got to build that muscle. And that looks like forms of delayed gratification. But you see that everything that they're trying to pop out and present to you and advertise to you is stuff to delay that. Extremely, I mean, not to delay that. It's stuff to um, basically feed you things that can instantly get you that gratification. And so, like, that's even like a message to younger generations too. Instant gratification through these sites and stuff like that. Because if you could post out, oh yeah, I'm going to change the world, and you get a million likes, that's going to make you feel good. But did you do anything in the world to change it? No. So why go through the actual work to do that? How do you even change the world, right? How do you even do something like that? Doesn't matter. I got a million likes for it. Doesn't matter. I got reposted. Doesn't matter. I went viral for it. Doesn't matter. I made a video and it went viral. It's like, yeah, y'all see like kind of like the blurred line between the instant gratification of what you can get through these sites and through these different mediums and things like that, versus what it actually takes to do the things you say you want to do. And see, the more you say you want to do a lot of things, but let's say you have poor work ethic, let's say you have poor discipline, let's say you have poor impulse control, that's just going to play out as more and more pressure, stress, anxiety on you to fulfill that. And especially when you see your peers online doing similar things, taking pictures, going places, you might be the individual out of your peers that really does want to do good things in the world, but you might not have the connections, you might not have the resources to do them. So, again, when we look at different things like why is everyone depressed now? Why are people, young people trying to off themselves and stuff like that, or anybody trying to off themselves? Like, these are the different complexes that kind of this new age of technology kind of created, based upon people again getting caught up into that world that they're trying to create. But lacking the core essence of what you really should start with, which is knowing yourself and then building skills and ability. And then from those skills and ability, creating a form of self validation based upon the work you know you put in to what it is you care about. You know what I'm saying? It's like, again, everything be reversed. So you got people now striving to go viral without any kind of sense of self, without any skills and ability, without any connection of how to make what they want in their mind make sense in reality. You know what I'm saying? But again, that's kind of that, you know, that's not even what this this live was originally about. But y'all know how I be with tangents sometimes. But getting back to that technology thing, you know, people impulse control and the conveniences that technology are affording them, that's exactly what happens. You know what I'm saying? Because if you can, you know, people are trying to get closer to being able to, if I can think it, it'll pop up right in front of me, to the point where now, literally, you walk around, you say two words around your phone don't even be on, just around your phone, all of a sudden you get advertised everything to fit that need. You know what I'm saying? And again, we about to have robots walking around. You know, you might have a thought these next couple of years. You might have a thought, and a robot come around the corner trying to sell it to you, like really bringing it to you, and be like, "Hey, I thought I heard you. I heard you thinking about this. Did you want this?" You know, it's like, that's what I'm making fun of it, but it's like, not only that, but even in the last live, I was talking about how jobs, the workforce, and things like that. We've been talking about robots taking jobs and stuff like that, but think about that, man. If people can't work, there goes your autonomy, because that was the one thing in the world that you could do. I could make my own money and I could pay for my own shit. And if I make my own money, I could use my money how I want to. And even that was debatable, because you still had to pay taxes, still had to do certain things. Certain things you couldn't do with your money, right? Even though it was your money, but that was already a thing. But again, if the majority of the workforce that's there now is non-existent, and people have to rely on government stipends in order to live, guess what's going to happen? Well, that's exactly, imagine just like how that AT&T shit was. Oh, you trying to use your money for what? You trying to organize? You trying to have a community? You about to have a community on our land? Turn that off. Turn your whole wallet off. You know what I'm saying? This is why we got to, even again, and this is stuff that, again, this is start to shift into a conversation that needs to happen offline, in person, in real life, with individuals you trust and associate with on that level that you're building with. Because it's like, okay, well, how do we create systems that can work? Because that is a reality that majority of people don't even realize. The Like I said before, they don't realize the ramifications of. Imagine if you're reliant on the, like, I hope, like, I mean, this is where I advise people to do their own research to how some like, I'm not gonna say get into the communist ideology and shit, because all of it is worldviews and stuff like that. But as a, again, be a mature spirit. As a mature spirit, you should know, you should be familiar with different ideologies and worldviews, so that you can have a clear picture of how people think. It's like, I don't know how else to say this, but, like, you know, it's almost like research to be a strong spirit. The best thing you could do is study other minds, great minds, small minds. I mean, you can learn something from everybody, but, you know, understand some of these. I feel like a good place to start is ideologies. Like, what is the concept of communism? What is the concept of uh consumerism? What is the concept of, even through religion? What is the concept of Christianity? What is the concept of Buddhism? Like, understand different worldviews so you can collect and develop a, right, develop a universal mind with no biases. Take the pros from everything. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. You develop in a universal mind. Don't be closed minded, especially not now. Be educated. You know what I'm saying? That's real education, real expansion. You know, that's really what we're talking about. So understand how communist systems work, because communism works based upon the idea that basically the government is your father figure, basically. So your father figure provides you all the things, but guess what? If you living in your father's house, you got to play by your father's rules. So you can see how on the surface, a lot of and this is where you got to get deep and you got to be able to pierce through biases that even the people who talk about these ideologies play into. Because you'll get people who talk positively about communism or positively about anything, and you get people who talk negatively about it. And you have to know how to find the little middle ground of what's a common fact that we can look at and say, oh, well, this is the concept itself. Whether you like it or not, the benefits and the negatives is irrelevant. That's for you to determine what you want to take from it and not. But when you look at some of these things, and I don't even want to just say it's flat out communism because that might not even be completely correct. But what I will say is this: you get into a time where the way in which things are run are going to be completely transformed. They're going to be a completely new way. So you don't want to. You got to really look into these things. Like even movies like Ready Player One, where they was playing them video games and them fucking 15-story shacks, and it was just people on top of people hooked up to AI or hooked up to virtual reality playing these games. But what they were playing for was real currency that they could take into the world and utilize and shit like that. So but all of that aside, just a basic concept. Who controls the money has control over you. If you're the one who needs the money, any resources like that. If there's a resource that we're all using, that's the reason you go into a job right now. But if you can't even go to a job on your own time, guess what? If you get in the government stipend, you're going to be on the government's time. You're going to be on whatever they need you to do. And see, the thing is, if you really think about it, that's a more direct way of what they already been doing. They already been putting you to work at their jobs to build their world. All they're doing now is cutting out the middleman. Well, we don't need you at this facility and at this thing. We can just tell you directly, hey, build this shit. However they want that done. I mean, it gets so deep that you really think of certain things, like even concepts like, and whether this is possible or not, I'm not even talking about that. But niggas trying to go to Mars and stuff. You know how Elon and shit trying to go to Mars, creating AI robots, and then the conversation of Neuralink, and then linking a mind to a robot body to be able to do things remotely, like remote work in different spaces. I mean, take that where you want to take that. Like a Neuralink robot in Mars trying to like the way in which they be trying to play with life, it's childish, but at the same time, you have it's like it's childish as fuck, first of all. But it's at the same time, it's like, these are real things. You know what I'm saying? These are real things that potentially could. And the thing is, it's always going to happen in a way that you kind of least expect it. Like you think it's going to come one way, but again, like I mean, again, we can go on and on about stuff like this, but it's a real thing. You know what I'm saying? And this is stuff that within the next 10 years are gonna be full effect. You know what I'm saying? Within the next 10 years, 10 plus. You know what I'm saying? Where whatever we're doing now, this is why it matters. You know what I'm saying? This is why it matters because it's like this is gonna be kind of the last link to anything. It's like when we because I remember we used to talk about you know, when like reincarnation, right? And getting to a point where, you know, the longer we're here, the more lost people get, right? The more lost spirits get in the sense of losing connections to what helps them get to a higher state of consciousness, if you will, right? And by higher state of consciousness, again, it's almost like things of impulse control, being able to separate your spirit from your body, because in certain circumstances, when you're thrown into certain things, it's like when if we want to look back in like caveman times, right? And I don't want to get too lost in this, um, but you think of caveman times, right, where it was more about indigenous being connected to the land and things like that. They was a lot more connected to spirit because they didn't have all of these other things that played out as layers and distractions, right? And if you want to say, as far as the time frame, they were the earlier spirits here. So they were here when it wasn't a lot of things already pre-built, already things structured in a way to make them think a certain way already. So they had an easier and I say easy, but that might not be the right word, but they had a more direct connection to getting back to spirit and connecting to what that is. You think of today's time, a baby come in and the baby can pick up a tablet and be able to use it, but think about what that baby has to do in order to get to spirit. Now, again, like a child and stuff like that, of course, is more connected to spirit, but a child being raised in these times, you know, imagine a world 10 years from now, X amount of years from now, where a baby's being raised by a robot or something like that, a robot nanny, where it might even be a certain circumstance where that baby can't really go outside or be, maybe they can go outside, but a connection to the things that are real and that actually connect them to spirit, it's more layers in between that. Not to say it's impossible, because spirit always going to make a way. But if you get what I'm saying, it's like spirit always going to make a way. But you see, it's so many more layers now to get to that natural direct connection. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at like, so and this is just when you think of spirits constantly coming back and coming back, coming back. At a certain point, it's like, you know, that's what you're looking at as far as reincarnation. Why even now it's like you better be getting your shit together mentally with your own spirit so that you don't have to keep repeating these cycles, because best believe that's exactly what's gonna end up being the thing. You know what I'm saying? Best believe think about you having to come back here after your lifespan. It's like that's exactly what you're gonna be walking into. You're gonna be walking into a world like this where it's gonna be so much more layers and hoops that you gotta jump through just to get to that natural connection. Shout out to famous Malo here. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but again, that's something that deserves its own video because it's some real stuff. Like, and we can get into those things. And even how I'm talking about it now, it's not about demonizing the technology. It's just understanding what it is and how it affects individuals and what we probably need to be aware of now to prevent long-term effects in a negative light that can, and even understanding too for like people my age and shit like that, or people who are already have families and things like that, or looking to have families. You got to think about how you want to lead your family and what what y'all gonna stand for, because now more than ever things like that are important. Like when we think about community and shit like that, like it's not just some kumbaya shit. It's some, you got to think like that's the only way in which a system could be developed in which it's substantial enough to stand on its own. It's self-sufficient. It could be self-sufficient to be able to be, again, it's within those types of things that you can at least protect. You can protect yourself in a sense, because it's like, I got your back, you got my back. But that comes with its own challenges. And right now, we again, everybody, and see, like I said before, like people are on these sites ironically to be more connected and to be more closer and feel safe. But it's like, again, y'all forgot like the recipe. I said the recipe came from, you know, actually getting out and meeting people and connecting to people in real life and stuff like that. These things made it convenient, but again, we got to redirect these energies and kind of go back to what are we even doing in the first place. What I'm saying, why was we here in the first place? And once we connect to that, we remind ourselves of that, then we can make ways back to what makes more sense. What I'm saying, what makes more sense to actually pursue and stuff like that, as far as with our energy and our attention. But anyway, man, that was a long ass tangent, and my battery getting low, and I need my charger slot for the microphone shit. So we gonna go back to the astrology and shit, but that will be something I'm going in on, because I'm passionate about shit like that, because that's the stuff that be on my mind, and that I'll be thinking. It's like, you know I don't know. It's like you can submit to certain things. Like you could be like, oh well, yeah, I'm not gonna be here, but no, you know what I'm saying. And again, trust me, I'm not trying to come back either. But it's like you really think about life in your time here and stuff, and it's like, I don't know, something in me is like, while I'm here, I want to at least create something for me to enjoy, and for the people I love to enjoy, whatever that time slot is, again, God, that was a gift I was given. You know what I'm saying? The time slot to be in this physical body and to learn as much as I can, even to be able to reach and connect to the people that I meet throughout my life and things like that. It's a beautiful thing that I personally don't take for granted. So that becomes what, I walk in that light, in the sense of just like, hey, look, I'm gonna make the most out of this time here. And that is the only thing I see worth having purpose behind, is at least pushing to build something that can be, that I can enjoy and that others that I'm connected to can enjoy as well. Mine as well. Fuck it. Because what else am I going to do here? You know what I'm saying? Because everything else looks like being lost and lying to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Whether it is drowning yourself in pleasure, whether it's drowning yourself in this, that, and the third, whatever it is, everything looks like poison to me here. You know what I'm saying? But it's like pick your poison. What is it gonna be? I choose a poison that at least can work as an antidote to some of the world's problems. That, as far as for the genuine people in the world, the poison I'm picking is one that's going to be antidote to them, and it'll instead be the thing that puts a bad taste in the people who have bad intentions mouth. You know what I'm saying? That's how I'm looking at it. But anyway, back to the astrology. So the moon being in Leo, again, purification of character, where the true you is either going to come out, or by suppressing the true you, this is going to become the corruption of character, where you're going to start to side eye different things that are getting attention. And as the moon slides into Virgo, you're going to start to get real critical, and that critical is going to be investigative. You know what I'm saying? It's that combination of Virgo and Scorpio, where now you're going deep on details, right? Which could be really beneficial for, it could be very beneficial, right, for getting information, but it can be very destructive, based upon how you go about to get that, how you go about getting that information, or what information you're obsessed with. Because think about this, on the negative end, you being obsessed with the wrong details, this will help. This will push you into spiraling. There's a lot of times that this is like that schizophrenic energy, or that paranoia energy, where you're digging, 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 and it's like the research you're doing, or you're so, how they say in the old cop movies, it's like you're so connected to this case, it's unhealthy and shit like that. They be like, what I'm saying, you're in too deep. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Omar Epps. What's his name? Omar Epps and LL Cool J. Shit, in too deep, that movie. But this is being way too invested in the wrong details. A lot of times, this is like a Virgo Scorpio thing. Being way too invested in the wrong details. So you want to make sure you're invested in the right details. You're looking to work on things and make them better through what you're diving into and getting deeper on, versus only seeing the things that you want to criticize and destroy. I mean, hey, there might be things in your life though that you're ready to destroy. And so that's the process that you're on, is getting the details for it, so you can put together a case behind it and be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to war with this. This is what I'm destroying. Because the next sign after that is Libra. And then we're getting into a new moon. This is the waning process. So this is us shedding things away, getting rid of shit. So that should be more so what this is geared to do. And what you're getting rid of is all the layers. It's almost like if you were to think of spending all day in the hot sun, now you're taking a shower. So it's like you're washing away that layer of dirt. And so that's the equivalent of like with this deep dive into your own psyche and understanding your own responses and things that are triggering your nervous system, so that you can rewire your inner working, so that you can get your mind back, so you can be back in control of what it is your intentions are, rather than being so concerned with potential threats to the point you lose touch with who you are and what you're even doing. That's a real thing. When you're so concerned of the potential of a threat, you ruin the things in your immediate surrounding that can actually be helpful and beneficial to you, because your perception of the world around you is skewed. And that happens to a lot of individuals with this energy combination. Even Virgos, how they say, and they pick on Virgos and shit like that, and be like, oh, you worry too much. But any Virgo will tell you, like, yeah, like, even with that deep dive into the details and stuff like that, and worrying, being concerned, stressing about shit, it has its perks, because at a lot of times it saved them from doing a lot of bullshit. But at the same time, but also they see where it creates difficulties and conflict in areas that might not have needed it. And the same thing even for Scorpio. Scorpios do the same thing, but they do it based upon their war on themselves. They be at war with themselves, and they get themselves. It's almost like something in them has to push a limit. Something in them has to bring, has to cause a Martian type of interaction. So they create disruptions and chaos for their, which at the end of it all, they might laugh it off and be like, yeah, you know what, gotta go through hell to get through heaven. They might say some goofy shit like that, but at the same time, like I said, it has its benefits, but nobody needed to go through all that. You didn't have to do all that, Scorpio. You didn't have to blow that shit up. You didn't have to transform it like that. You didn't have to manipulate it like that. You didn't have to force yourself to go through the hard situation of that. And I know I'm a Scorpio rising. I'll go through the hard side of something real quick, just off the strength, just cause it looked like a better option until I'm in it and I'm like, damn, I didn't even have to make my life this difficult. I could have did it this way based upon whatever everybody else was saying. But what's the fun in that? You know what I'm saying? ain't learned nothing. So, what I'm saying? But uh that's how it be. Now the moon in Leo, of course, trying to Chiron, connected to past mistakes and things like that, looking at the truth of these mistakes and trying to see, this is the gift of seeing another side to it. Well, maybe not another side to it, but gift of seeing it in a way that in which you could act on it. You can kind of see the correlation of the mistakes and how they influence your character on a positive end. On the lower end, again, corruption of character. You might start to feel some kind of way about these things to the point where they make you feel awkward or they make you feel exposed. And that's a lot of what people are going through even as well. They got that nigga Dirk, man. And damn, Dirk. They got that dude Dirk, man. He's trying, it's like certain things like that. You see people getting exposed more and more and stuff like that. And celebrities get a bad rep because they are on the public arena stage and they're being used as marketing tools and puppets and stuff for um, world views and stuff. So, unfortunately, that's what that money came with. You know what I'm saying? You get your money through a government. That's what that come with. So if you looking to be a celebrity, just know that's what that come with. You know, uh, but being exposed and stuff like that, be mindful of what you are worried about getting exposed about. um, if it's something worth worrying about, then I would advise you to work on that and get that right. Whatever you got to do, whether that's you coming clean, telling the truth on certain levels and stuff like that, going and cleaning up your act, do what you got to do to where that's not the thing holding you back, because that's the worst situation to be in during Scorpio season or as a Scorpio energy, holding yourself back because you're worried about skeletons in your closet. You got to clean that up, however that looks like. Sometimes it's just a matter of coming clean. A lot of things you think is embarrassing or vulnerable ain't even vulnerable to everybody. Same thing again as a Scorpio rising. I know firsthand a lot of things vulnerable that I used to think was something I could never share be the very same thing that made me closer to everybody in my personal life. So a lot of times that be the case. So, especially if you out here trying to do something, you got a vision or you got a goal that's big, a purpose, any purpose, the thing that's going to get in the way of that purpose is you holding yourself back, that war with yourself. So, coming clean on different things so you don't have to walk around like you got to hide. You know, you want to be able to walk in your truth, and that's the purification. That's where you're able to put it out on a line, and hey, if they crucify me, they crucify me. But when you have a strong connection to self, again, back to confidence and things like that, it doesn't matter what another person say. They can have all the opinions in the world. If you know who you are or where you're going, then who gives a fuck? And even if a large collective also believe that, again, think about celebrities. People talk shit about them all day, but does that mean they stop making songs? Does that make them? It's like no, and the reason why is because they're in a space where they're doing what they're doing. So it's not even enough time to go back and forth with somebody online who's basically projecting just because they want to get a rise out of them or redirect them. That's the majority of the world nowadays. People say things not because they truly mean them, but because they want to be heard, because they feel disconnected in their own life. They feel unsafe in their own life. So they threaten and they try to throw other people off based upon their own issues and insecurities. And again, this happens on large scales with trolls, but also in personal scales. Even a dude, somebody in the chat earlier, who was just talking, you know what I'm saying? And it's like people will literally come into a space and act like, hey, what's up? Just to get the connection that they don't get in their actual life. You know what I'm saying? It's unfortunate, but again, the show goes on. We keep moving. You know what I'm saying? The show goes on, and you just want to be the person on the stage that everybody pays something to see. You know what I'm saying? That's all that matters. Um, Everybody who, the people who really got something negative to say, they can go to another show. You know what I'm saying? Like, who gives a fuck? But moving forward, the moon also is trining the north node. So being connected to your spiritual path, again, you have to walk in your spiritual path. You can't be ducking behind an insecurity or ducking behind a lack of being able to be vulnerable with certain things. You have to be able to take it, man. Like, and this is what the fall is all about. The fall is all about this. And us going through this process now, because we hit Scorpio season kind of on some like weird energy, even though it wasn't like a super weird energy. I feel like we've been having weirder energies than what we experienced during the first couple of days of Scorpio season. But it definitely was a off-putting energy in the sense of like what you thought was cool is like you kind of looking at like, wait a minute, what's kind of behind this and stuff like that. So we already hit the energy on some kind of like, I don't know. But you have to make that space. It's because it's a part of our new self, right? Or not new self, but true self. And we're trying to make that room. We're trying to like, we're like, it's like seats on a plane. You know what I'm saying? You trying to get into your seat. Everybody a little too close, but you trying to at least establish your space. It's like you got the middle seat on the plane, so you trying to, you're not trying to be disrespectful necessarily, but you're trying to at least establish your space in the fall, in the purification, in the process of everything else falling. It's like if you've done the work, then you have that space to be able to be like, okay, yeah, I can set both my elbows down and I've got it. Boom. And you can feel comfortable with that because you kind of deserved it. It's like, yeah, I did my thing, right? If you really did your thing, if you was really on some high octave shit, you in first class. You got your own bunk, you got your own cubicle. But let's say you was doing the best you can, and right, fixating that vibe. Right, right. I said that. I wasn't even thinking of that phrase, but that's exactly what it is. Right. Exactly. It's like fixating the vibe. You making that space and you making that room for you to sit. Again, it's still uncomfortable because you're still in the middle seat of the plane or on a plane in general, but at least you can do what a Scorpio does best, which is formulate this sense of, it's almost like self-control. Like Scorpio on its highest octave is like the phoenix, where it's in control of it, what it can control, and everything else it lets go of. You know what I'm saying? There, you really did your thing. You in first class. You got your own cubicle. You in your own vibe, and it's really you, just you and you. But let's say if you still did positive, you could be in that middle seat on economy, but still have a cool little seat. If you didn't do what you were supposed to do up until this point, guess what? You're gonna be like this. You're gonna be all unconscious. I said unconscious. You might be unconscious. Somebody knock you out, or you just sleep on the plane and shit like that, looking goofy. But it's gonna be you highly uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Uncomfortable, kind of like self conscious, trying to like hold yourself in, not trying to touch nobody. Like you're not even going to be able to set your shoulders and get your space right. So you're going to, again, unsafe. That's going to push you to do more. It could push you to do more manipulative things. And you also got to watch for people in your life who don't know how to be comfortable with themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I said in the song or something like that. I don't trust people who, what I'm saying, who don't trust themselves type shit, where it's like, you gotta keep in mind that people, especially around this time, and even on the third dimensional level, right? Especially, it's that winter time, it's Christmas vibe, Thanksgiving. People start to get, again, rob, shoot, steal, kill for Christmas gifts or shit like that. That starts to be on people's mind around this time because, again, they didn't do what they needed to do during the spring and summer to get their shit right. So everything to them is now desperation. And that's the energy you're gonna start to see come out. Desperation. And that's gonna take us right into Sagittarius season, which is of course, like, are you actually free or are you caged in? The people who are doing what they're supposed to do now, they're gonna have the reach, the ability to expand. Almost like if we're taking that plane analogy further, they're gonna be able to fly comfortably. But those who didn't play out the energy, was on some lower octave stuff, didn't do what they were supposed to do during spring, summer. They had a rough fall. they're going to be experiencing Sagittarius energy from within a cage, or trying to play out some kind of escape vibe or something like that, some extreme escape vibe. So if you would think of somebody, panicking on a plane to the point where they get kicked off that shit, you know what I'm saying? So now they restricted, they can't ever fly no more ever again, you know what I'm saying? Because of whatever they felt like they needed to run from, or whatever they was, but we'll talk about that when we get there. But talking more about this moon in Leo, also in conjunct Saturn. So we misunderstand the role our character plays in whatever we're building, but that shouldn't stop you. If anything, allow it to open up your creativity and dream even bigger about what you're trying to put together. You have to have that idea. And again, everybody's different. Some people are not idea people, but they're more like groundwork people and stuff like that. But whatever it is, it's like try not to get that imposter syndrome vibe where you feel like you're not good enough and you let self-doubt kind of basically tamper with your discipline or your work ethic. Try to stay focused on that. But again, this is stuff to go to bed with on your mind, so that when you wake up and the moon starts to move into Virgo, you'll be in a space where, again, Inspector Gadget, working on things, and you'll be working to make something better, working to get deeper on making something better rather than working to basically break yourself down. Because if you're going to bed with certain thoughts on your mind, like, maybe I'm not good enough, or I don't know if the vision actually worked, you're going to wake up and immediately beat yourself up, basically, or you have a higher potential to start to criticize yourself in ways that it's like you don't deserve that all the time. You know what I'm saying? You have to give yourself grace, especially going through a time where uh, nobody knows what to do. So don't even put pressure on yourself as if you were supposed to be born as a baby already knowing to put money in your 401k. Like, no, again, this is all man-made shit. You didn't know that coming in here as a spirit to that degree. You didn't know what the fuck, like, you know what I'm saying? You had to learn these things, and chances are you had parents that probably didn't even teach you the things that you was expected to know by the time you was an adult, or 18 and shit like that. So chill, you know what I'm saying? Chill. Don't even blame them. Understand, like, okay, oh, that's the game I'm in. All right. Slow it down and do what you can, you know what I'm saying? And start small, build that up. And that's going to be good energy for the moon in Virgo, because it's going to be a nice building from the bottom up energy, rather than trying to tear down what you already don't have. You know what I'm saying? You trying to tear down. It's like we both broke in, you know what I'm saying, in the back of the plane, and you trying to criticize me about how uncomfortable the plane is. We both uncomfortable. It's like, you know what I'm saying, chill. You know what I'm saying? That's how the Virgo moon will get you, because Virgo energy sometimes will, what I'm saying, it's like, okay, we get it. We get it. It's not a good situation, but that don't make it better, you know what I'm saying? And just keep that in mind. So grace where grace is needed. Like I said before, going to bed with the right vibe on your heart, right things on your mind, that's going to be helpful. Um, what else? So the moon also in conjunct Neptune, that's kind of the same vibe, only with imagination and stuff like that. Like I said, allow it to expand your imagination, not destroy it. You know what I'm saying? You're setting yourself up for a rough moon and Virgo transit, when that could be a very powerful time to put some real things in motion. Um, the moon is also going to be it's currently squaring Uranus. So learning how to be an individual again, walking around with your chest up, you know what I'm saying? Like, not being ashamed of who you are as an individual, understanding the value, learning the value of your character and why it's important, and why, who cares if you got skeletons in the closet? Everybody does. And it's not even about that. You take care of your skeletons. Anybody pointing at your skeletons, chances are they skeletons is bigger than yours. And whether it's bigger or not, and what they got behind their closed doors is not. All it should tell you is that they afraid to be themselves. They afraid to be vulnerable. So that ain't nothing to do with you. And that's what I also, my point too, about people fiending for safety and connection. When people troll you, or people coming at you and shit like that, it do not be about you. It be about how unsafe and disconnected they feel. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, damn, like I feel sorry for you. You know what I'm saying? People come to me a certain way, I'll be like, I'm sorry for you. I feel sorry for you, because happy people in healthy mind states don't do that, especially not to a spirit like me, moving around here doing beautiful things in the world. You know what I'm saying? So again, if you look at yourself, you be like, no, I'm doing beautiful things in the world, even if that's just you being a pleasant person to be around, who gives a fuck with somebody coming at you and saying, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel sorry for you that you don't know somebody like me who can come around and uplift your spirit like that. Like, that's unfortunate that you feel like you feel so low in your space that you got to walk around and drag people down. That's unfortunate. Um, Moon and Leo. What else? I can look it up. Also, Moon and Leo, opposite. Well, we passed through the opposition with Pluto. So again, an emotional transformation needed to be had. Also, the Moon and Leo squaring Mercury. So learning how to think through our own. Basically, it's like you're learning how to learning how to think through your own deep subconscious turmoil issues, your own psychosis and shit like that. Like you're learning how to think about it. Like there's your character, but then there's that second thought of, is this vulnerable? Should I share this? Maybe I should hold this in. You know what I'm saying? So you're kind of going through that process. But like I said before, make the choice that's gonna make you feel more strong in yourself rather than make you feel small and devalued. Because again, moving into Virgo, the moon being in Virgo, you want to use this combination of energy more so to encourage you to go even harder. You know, to think and communicate on a level that's deep, and you could do some very good shadow work at this point in time, where you're working with your nervous system and you're assessing some of these more deep passions, deep rooted, maybe even insecurities. Anytime we're dealing with a water transit, identifying insecurities is helpful for the healing process in general. It's like you can really get to the root of what's influencing or causing you to be anxious in certain areas versus others. And when you identify what those triggers are, now you're on the path to really addressing them. And you got to remember, when you're looking to, a lot of times when you jump and you lack impulse control, it's coming from you not understanding. Um it's like you not knowing the feeling you're trying to avoid feeling, because we're constantly receiving. But a lot of times in that constant receiving, well, we're not. It's like, even if you are a strong spirit, you could be receiving something, but try to not want to feel that and use something still for the body to soothe that. So, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like wiring and understanding, like, okay, what am I trying to substitute this to not feel? You know what I'm saying? One thing about Scorpio is going to bring feelings that you might not want to feel at the time. It's going to bring them up. And you got to know how to identify, oh, this is a feeling that I really don't want to feel right now. What am I going to do about it? And if the first thing you choose to do about it is that addiction, or is that thing that's going to give you instant gratification just to soothe the body for the moment so that you can deal with it emotionally, that might be one way that you used to deal with stuff. But you got to really go deep into, um, what I'm saying? You got to really go deep into what it is that is causing that. Shout out to Mooney. You said, I encourage embracing friction in Scorpio season. Right. Exactly. It's stuff like that. Think about Scorpio in a sense. You know what I'm saying? He said in the shadow work way, right? Not external, but even the nature of Scorpio being Mars on an internal level. That's exactly what it really is. It's like you have to face these things. Like you can try to, oh, let me substitute this just to soothe me, or let me transform my internal state with this thing so I could just get over it. Because remember, internal state and how you feel, emotions is still connected to the body. The spirit ain't nothing, none of that. Spirit is not an emotion. Spirit is using emotions, or identifying them, analyzing them, observing them, I should say. Not even analyzing, just observing them. Observe them so you know how to deal and address them. But when you try to substitute shit and you're not actually going to war, accepting that conflict with certain things that's going on within you, you do yourself a disservice. And this becomes toxic behavior. This becomes things that cause you to kind of, again, like I said, toxic behavior. You're burning bridges in ways you don't even realize. Aries might blow up the bridge. A Scorpio might undo all the screws and forget that they did that. And then when somebody walk over that bridge, boom, it's your whole shit fall and collapse, which is a much more devastating um, You know what I'm saying? Much more devastating destruction of a bridge than just outright blowing it up sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Right. He said war strengthens the vibe. Exactly. Exactly. You got to consider your own aura, throughout this. You are going to be like, the more you do this, go to war with yourself on that end of like really facing and addressing your own insecurities and your own triggers and things like that, the more solidified your aura becomes, in the sense of like when you walk into rooms, you won't, the things on your mind won't be the same things on everybody else's mind, which will automatically put you at a different space and make you more. It's like, I don't want to. I hate talking about it in a way that's like, oh, it gives you like superpowers, make people think in that way. But you got to really think like 98% of people are not doing this. So, you taking the challenge of going to war with yourself on that end, you create a certain vibe that, again, is almost undeniable. And the things you say you want, the things you're trying to materialize, they're gonna come to you so fluidly in a way that it'll fuck around and scare you, just because you willing to do the work that 98% of individuals can't even face, don't even recognize, can't even really identify in their own life. So that's just a pro tip, you know what I'm saying? um Mars is at 26 degrees Cancer, so Mars is finally going to wake up out of his slumber and shit like that. So um one thing you just got to keep in mind is that you know right now, when it comes to our passions and things like that, um again, it's in Cancer. So you need to be talking to yourself in a way that's encouraging you to get up and fight. It's like you about to go on stage. You know what I'm saying? Right now, you in the dressing room, you getting your fit right to walk on stage with your passions. So allow your passions to shine by giving them. You really need to nurture them in that way, as if you was trying to prepare yourself to get on stage. However that looked. Some people do the tough love thing, some people do the soft spoken thing. Whatever your thing is, prepare your passions to shine. So that's gonna look like you putting your emotional state in the right position in order to walk out on that stage with full confidence. So, what I mean by that is Cancer being a cardinal energy, you have to initiate that vibration that you want your passions to be received in. So try not to allow, again, doubt and things like that distract you from what you want your performance to do, how you want your performance to impact things. We're in Scorpio season, so it's going to be a square. You're going to have to learn how to be comfortable on that stage with your passions. It's almost like you're on that stage, but in the back of your mind, you're gonna be thinking and looking at how everybody's reaction is. You have to balance that out. Mars needs you to show what you got. The sun might make you go, or should I just play it cool and try to act like I'm not, maybe I should hide some of these things. Maybe I should try not to be on that type of end, and try not to use it. Like, also, Mars being in Leo is just something to be aware of. Try not to be so consumed by what you see other people getting attention for with their passions, because that might either lead you to be deceptive, or on the reverse, it could lead you to being taken advantage of based upon somebody maybe gassing you up, but they're just trying to take your passion and manipulate it for what they want. So, Mars going into Leo is great for Mars itself, but it still presents other potential, I'm not gonna say threats or anything, because what I'm saying, as strong spirits, ain't nothing really a threat, but something to be aware of. You feel me? So just be aware of that. Just, hey, what's going on here before you getting gassed up? Like, wait a minute, don't fall for no okey doke. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing, do your shit on stage, and keep it moving. And those who also doing things on stage, respect what they do, add, contribute, support those who you're connected to on deep levels, sacred shit. You know what I'm saying? We don't need to be, try not to get too many partnerships that's kind of rooted in the wrong things. You know what I'm saying? Don't be in partnerships. Don't, again, be mindful of who around you, who in desperation mode, just looking for something. You know what I'm saying? Looking for something, because they'll throw you right under the bus the second they get a better offer that puts you in harm's way or compromises what you got going on. And even though, like, I'm a type of person, I feel like, when you really protected, ain't nothing can really throw you off, but things can for sure set you back. And nobody want to go through a setback that didn't need to happen if they was just a lot more aware and cautious. Um, Venus is currently in Sag, so that's also a trine with the moon. So moon and Leo. So again, the gift of being able to express what we want to expand as far as love, value, and things like that. And a lot of this should be kind of rooted in um, knowledge, learning, expansion, travel. So, Venus is Sagittarius again is kind of experiencing being free for right now. So don't be too free to the point where you self-sabotage. But again, escapism. You just want to be mindful of the things that might lead you to want to be on that type of time. Try not to be on escapism time. Face what you need to face at the moment, and chances are you'll be able to walk away with a lot more beneficial things, things of value than trying to avoid things and just run away from shit because you're uncomfortable. Um, and try not to go overboard with just things that feel good. Again, this is a good time to work on impulse control because we have not only Scorpio, which is all about that, but we also have Venus in Sag, which is the expansion of what we value. But it's almost like if you think about it, right, if you contract that in the right ways, you can get a lot more out of it. It's almost like a kid who understands that, oh, if I eat all this candy tonight, I run out of candy and my stomach gonna hurt, my tooth gonna hurt, and I'm not even gonna enjoy it by the end of the night. Versus a kid who understands how to moderate and space that candy out throughout a whole month. So all of a sudden, it's like, damn, I got a little treat every night, and they're able to expand what they value or something that gives them pleasure based upon them knowing how to ration it and not how to, again, not going to the extreme, overindulging and doing too much. You get what I'm saying? So we have to be more mature as spirits. That's how I've been saying as far as this current shift going on. It's about how mature can you be as a spirit and separating yourself from just immature ways of going about life. And that's really what I mean by being a mature spirit. Immature ways of going about life. Like it's just immature to treat your spirit like that, or for your spirit to operate your body in a way that is just, again, not beneficial for growth or not beneficial for those around you to cultivate better connections and better safety. You know, Again, getting back to safety and connection, like you can create a lot better things when you operate your mind better. You know what I'm saying? When you moving your body better. Let me see what else. I'm on like 2% or something like that. 3%. Yep. So we about to wrap this shit up. Last but not least, the moon sextile in Jupiter, expanding our character beyond our self restriction, or expanding our character beyond our perception of ourselves or what we might be still insecure about. So you want to be able to expand past these things. Jupiter's still in retrograde, so again, past memories of things, experiences, these might be getting in the way. But again, you got to understand that that's the past. Now is now. How am I going to approach growth? Um, yeah, and that's about it. You know what I'm saying? So I am going to be coming back with the moon in Virgo breakdown tonight. If you haven't heard, the women's Each One Teach One Depth of Divine Feminine are going in. They're having an abstract art healing class. So again, if you want to be a part of that class, you really don't got no much, don't got that much time, but you can send a little you could hit us up on the email in the next 30 minutes to go ahead and get your spot in class. We have a few other classes going on, so if you get in now, you'll still be able to benefit from this class. Also, we give out the recordings, so the classes you miss, you'll be able to catch up on that. You'll be able to reach this class, and you'll be notified for the next classes coming up. So I advise you, if you're a woman or a mother and you're interested in being in those classes, getting connected with other brilliant women who have a lot to share. And again, it's all about community-based learning. Each one teach one. Make sure you send us an email at 717conference.info@gmail.com. I appreciate everybody coming through. Much love, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Peace.